LivingEmunah, book number 2 by Rabbi David Asher, part 10, A Message from Heaven. One of the 13 principles of Jewish faith is the belief that Hashem grants reward to those who observe his commandments. The Ramban writes in Hilchot Tshuva 8:1, the goodness that Hashem has in store for the righteous is primarily in the next word, not in this word. Nothing in this word could possibly compare to the delights of the word to come. Or Hashem, commenting on the Pasuk in Dvarim 14:1, you are children to Hashem your God, writes that when a person dies, it is though he has moved to a different city, to a place that is far more pleasurable for him than the place where he had lived. The deceased person still lives on even though we cannot see him. Those of us who are still here have the opportunity to help and care for the departed and bring them greater pleasure by performing good deeds in their merit. Several years ago, a 16-year-old girl from our community was tragically taken from us. She had an accident at the beach that resulted in a broken nose, and she passed away while she was under anesthesia during the surgery. Her parents, the doctor and Mrs. Gorsi, wanted to do something for the elevation of her soul, and so they established a weekly Torah learning program for their daughter's friends. Each week, some 30 to 40 girls meet and receive inspiration from a rabbi's lecture. More recently, the Gorsies decided to build a mikveh in the neighborhood in their daughter's memory, as the closest mikveh was quite far. The cost of construction turned out to be considerably higher than their initial estimates. And one day, while Dr. Gorsi was at work, the contractor called and informed him that he would have to stop construction until he received a final $25,000 that he was owed. The fundraising campaign had already exceeded its limits, and there was no conceivable way to raise so much money. The doctor hung up the phone and looked distraught. His patient, the Reform Jew, heard part of the conversation and asked the doctor if everything was all right. Does this have something to do with your daughter? She asked. Dr. Gorsi explained the situation. I never had a child of my own, the patient said. I want to do a good deed for your daughter. Show me the mikveh. Maybe I will help you out. The doctor brought her to the construction site, and she was very impressed. Right there on the spot, she wrote a check for $25,000. Just like that, the problem was solved. Several days later, Mrs. Gorsi called her rabbi and said the urgent needed to speak with him. The rabbi came and saw that she was very emotional. She explained that the patient had just come to her home to tell her that her daughter had come to her in a dream. She was sitting on the beach with a beautiful glow on her face. She came over and said, "Thank you for completing the mikveh. It will help me tremendously. And please thank my parents for all the good deeds they have been doing for me, especially the weekly Torah class for my friends. They need to know that for every girl who attends, there are another 5 who do not, and they need to help more people get on the right path. To make sure my mother believes you, tell her to take out from my drawer the ring she gave me for my 16th birthday with the emerald." Mrs. Gorsi told the rabbi that there was no way the patient could have possibly known about the ring, and there is no reason why she would care if more people attended their weekly class. But this should not be shocking. The daughter is simply in another place, and she came to visit. There are many things that we cannot see. Our job is to use our time in this world wisely, so we can enjoy the wonderful delights of the next word.